Hello and hello. So, we need to talk about something. It's called creating a list. Now, we're going to dive in deep tonight on how to create a list, and there's a couple different aspects to that. For some of us, maybe we have a pile of business cards and there's a bunch of emails and contact information on those business cards that you could be collecting and putting into your own makeshift database, which we'll talk about how to just use an Excel sheet and do this. Or you can utilize a free CRM or a paid CRM, and I'll go over the differences of those and how you can organize your contacts. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about why you need a list. So, if you have an upcoming event, if you have an upcoming thing that you want to share, whether you're gonna do a live, maybe you want to host a workshop, maybe you need lists of previous recruiters you've been in contact with, or previous people that you've made contacts with, so that you can contact to get a future job or network for a future job in the future. Okay, so this is on all realms that you need this list. Now, if you're a business owner, you should be, and I don't like to use the word should a lot, but this is one of those scenarios where I really do wholeheartedly say that you need a list and you should be collecting emails. And there is a digital marketing funnel process that you can do to create an opt-in or an exchange so that you can collect emails. Now, we'll go into that later in today's talk, but let's start with when you get all of these business cards or people are emailing you or giving you their contact information, what should you be doing with that? As soon as you get it, I recommend doing it that day because trust me, I know what it's like at the end of the week and then you got to enter them all in. No one wants to do that on a Friday. Or if you're going to do it at the end of the month, it's just such a huge task. So I really recommend if you are going to go to a networking event or you're going to go out for the day, take 10 minutes and really it only takes about 10 minutes. So if thinking that you don't have the time to do this, please know that it does not take much time. You are going to grab all of the business cards that are in your backpack, pockets, purse, wherever they are, put them all together, and then you are going to categorize them into a spreadsheet or a CRM. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. So, how you would categorize or organize these would be based on how you would want to reach out to them. So you can categorize them into industry if that's something that you want to do. Or maybe if you're like me and you're multi passionate or you have more than one business, I would put them into categories of, hey, future marketing workshops. I'm going to put people on this list. People that might be interested in hypnotherapy, I'm going to put on this list. If it is a networking contact, there we go, contact for maybe looking at a prospecting on selling them something very specific, I would put them on that list. So you need to know what you are selling and what you are offering so that you can put these into this list. Now, if you mess up, that's okay because they're still in your list. You still have their contact information. Now, this is something really important. Don't put this as just a list on your computer. And I think most of us know this, but a Google Drive is really great because if you are a business owner and you're a solopreneur in the future, you want to have an assistant or an employee, you would have that list where you can both add to it and it's being updated at all times. It's live update rather than, and I've worked for companies that have done this, where this list has gotten passed around and we never knew where the most updated, most recent list was. And there was just like all these different versions, and it was a hot mess. All right. So have something on a Google Drive. Now, what this is going to look like, you are going to create the columns. Look at these business cards, and you're going to see here's their name, Here's their email, here's their phone number, and it should have their title on it, and it probably has a company that they work for as well. So you're going to create a column for each one of those. Now you can have a master list, and then you can also have them on these special lists as well. That is totally fine. That way, if you go to send an email, you could just go in there and select 5 or 10 people and email it out. Now, that is one way. A lot of these email platforms have gotten a little smarter so that it's not mass email. And you might want to say, like, hey, I know 5 realtors and I want to send this to them. You would BCC, blind copy, so that they don't all get each other's emails. And you would write it as if you were writing it to them individually and BCC it. That's one way. That's kind of the makeshift way. It works. However, if you are wanting to create a digital marketing funnel so that you can collect emails, there's a little bit more elaborate method. So we would want to create a lead magnet. This is something super simple. Do not spend hours and hours on your first lead magnet. Okay, this should be a 1-pager, most likely, something short, something that you could do pretty quick. It is something that they would really, really want. Your target audience would really, really want. Now, it gets a little complicated if you have multiple target audiences. So you would want to focus on your one main target market. And I normally say that is the people that you can get them in the door, your initial service that gets them in the door, so that you can get on a call and have a conversation with them. Once you're in conversation, you might say, hey, actually, this product or service would actually be best for this scenario. But it's the thing that most people in your target market are looking for. Let's say you are a book coach, or you're wanting to help people write books, just as an example. You could create the ultimate checklist to get started writing your book, or the ultimate checklist on what to include or the steps that you need to write your first book. That would be a fantastic thing that people would be like, oh my gosh, yes, I need this. So it's one of those things where it's like, I need this. I will definitely give you my email so that I can get this list. That is worthy. Now, that's where a lot of times people stop. They stop there. You should also have, if you're going to go through that trouble, to make sure that your audience remembers you, because how many of us have signed up for one of these freebies? As soon as you signed up on it, you were on to the next thing and you forgot to even go to your email to look at the freebie, let alone you don't remember who sent it to you. And then, like, months later, you get emails from this person and you don't even know who they are. To prevent that, you would create an email sequence, a trigger sequence. So you would collect this information, a tag would automatically be put onto that person because they downloaded that freebie. When they get that tag assigned to them, it creates an email trigger sequence that then triggers emails to go off in a sequence. So it might be like an hour later, hey, you just downloaded my freebie resource and I want to make sure that you were able to access it and see if you had any questions. Maybe the next day saying, hey, yesterday I sent you this and I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you about me, and I would love to invite you onto a call to talk about you. And then the day 3. And I recommend that you do 7 emails after that. That makes sure that that person saw the freebie, that they received it. Make sure that they have any questions you can answer for them. And it also makes sure that they associate you and they know who you are, so that you're not just this random person in their inbox. Right? That's no fun when you're getting these random emails and they're all spammy emails, which is why I also recommend within your emails, it's fantastic to send out some type of newsletter. And if you've gotten a bunch of people's business cards, you could even send them an email and say, hey, we met in person recently. And I would love to invite you to sign up for my email newsletter. Here's some of the things that are typically in my newsletter, and it should be super helpful advice so that as they open that newsletter, they don't feel like they're being spammed. They don't feel like they're being sold to. Now, you can occasionally put like a ticket to an event or a workshop, but if you were going to include three things in your newsletter, two of those should be useful, valuable information so that they want to open your email. Now, let's start from the beginning. Why do people need emails? Well, for one, I don't know if you all know, but Facebook shut down. And to just have Messenger going, or just have LinkedIn going, or even Instagram going, and having all of your conversations in those DMs is risky. That means that technically these social media platforms own your conversations, that you don't have anything to contact that person. What if Facebook was down and you had a meeting with someone and you don't have any of their other contact information, that you were just DMing on social media? This is taking the power away from you and your business, or you and your career. So make sure you get their contact information and store that. Anytime you get an email and someone gives you the email, you should instantly create a habit of going straight over to your email list. And I have both. I have one where it's like I've collected emails and it's in a spreadsheet. And then I have my like lead magnet emails as well, because I want to make sure that when I need someone's information, I can find it. I also want to make sure that I can get pertinent information to the people who really need it. Because let's face it, someone might be out there praying, searching, hunting for your services or products. And if it's not in front of them, they don't know it exists. So if you're the answer to their problem, but you're never telling them what you offer as well, that can also be a problem. So we want to have conversations with people. If you have not been watching my authentic networking series that's happening on Tuesdays, I highly recommend that you watch that in building relationships. But we haven't really been talking about the emails and what to do with them and how to organize them. So let's dive in a little deeper on these CRMs. So I really love HubSpot is a great one. It has a free platform that you can use to a certain extent. Now, they recently have started creating more payment options. So you can't do trigger sequences and things like that unless you have the paid version. There are lots of CRMs out there. HubSpot's not the best by far, but I do like it because it has a free version for you to get in there and start playing with. But it can be a lot of work. It can be a lot of work if you see it as work. It can be a lot of work in the beginning because it's new, because it's something different. It's a new habit that you're building. So take the time in the beginning to set it up. Take the time to first just start collecting the emails that are coming into you on the daily. It can feel really overwhelming to go, oh my gosh, I have a ton of emails that need to be organized, and I'm going to put that off, right? Procrastination starts to happen. And then we don't even do the ones that are coming in on the regular. So start with each day. Start tomorrow. And if you have some emails that are coming in front of you, go ahead and start putting them into first the master list. Then we can create additional tabs within your spreadsheet and start to organize them further. But if anything, just start with the master list, and you can always do a control F and search for those people if you need their contact information. You can also have a column where it's certain tags, where you would have certain things that you might search for that person. I am notorious for, I just talked to someone today and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot remember their name. But if I was to search keywords, I would be able to pull them up. So, people that you're contacting, people that you're connecting with on LinkedIn or Facebook, are you getting their contact information so that you can, one, even if you don't have their email, you could be like, at least I can search them so I can find them because I want to have a meeting with them. So, be aware of what you're doing. And again, it doesn't have to be a huge overhaul and going, oh my gosh, okay, I know I've got a stack of cards somewhere. What can I do? One, if you have a child that knows how to use a computer and is fairly tentative, you could be like, hey, honey, here's this stack of cards. Can you enter these into these columns and I'll give you $10 so that you can buy Robux? I do that and it works. So that also saves me time and some of that tediousness to get the bulk load of it in. And I would also recommend that anytime you go out to a networking event and you know that you've collected more than 3 cards for the day, to make it a habit to go send an email and say, hey, we met today and it was so great to meet you. I received your card and I just wanted to send you an email so that you have my information too. Because just getting cards and them just sitting isn't doing anyone good. And even though they might not be your prospect customer or anything like that, they might have a friend, a family member, or a colleague who is. So don't waste the opportunity. And gosh, we are all spending a lot of money on these cards, so we should do something with them. Perfect. So Kristen said I have over 60,000 emails. I can't bring myself to go through them. That's okay. If you have them, you have them. And I would start with like maybe you organize 10 a day. Just go through 10 emails and organize them. And maybe you send a bulk email to those 10 people. Now, with the email systems, there has been some legal requirements that have been updated. And there's a lot of talk that it's like, hey, anything more than 5 emails, it might go into someone's spam. I've had clients I've been working with where they have the at and their company name, and I'm emailing one person and then another one with the same at is going into my spam. So I would recommend, first of all, like check your spam regularly, especially if you're a business owner. But again, you do not have to do them all, and you can set something that feels really manageable. So even if you're like, Kristen, if you're like 5, I can do 5 a day, then do 5 a day, because 5 every day is going to add up, and you're going to be getting emails out, and you're going to be reaching out to people, and you're going to be communicating. Communication, I cannot express it enough. Communication and conversation is how your business grows. So even if you're like, hey, I'm going to email 5 realtors today to remind them, say, hey, if you have any clients who just moved into some homes in these areas, I have this pet sitting and plant service. So even just reminding them, because let's face it, people get busy. I see emails, I see messages, and I'm in the midst of something and I'm like, oh, yes. And then I put my phone down and something else happens and ADHD happens. And before I know it, it's 2 days later and going, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that person. And then I go through my email and I can't find it. And I love when people follow up with me. I love it. Now, I know not everyone loves it, but thinking about those people who it is a great benefit. And in fact, guerrilla marketing says that you need to send the same message or the same email about 9 times before people are really going to truly see it. And if they're not even considering it, it's a first time like seeing it, they need to see it 19 times. 19 times. So that means that same social media post that you're just going to keep posting, or that same email you're going to keep sending, similar email, 19 times for them to go, okay, yeah, maybe. I just did this recently. And it dawned on me, I was like, oh, they got me. I'm on Pinterest, and this shampoo kept popping up. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, that looks interesting. And it was about 17 times after seeing it that I was finally like, fine, I'm going to order it. Let's give it a try. Let's see if this really works. Now, services are similar. Maybe you're finally like, oh, I've been watching Izzy for a while. I'm finally going to get on a call with her and see what she has to say about my business. It's okay to keep repeating yourself. In fact, I was looking at a pretty successful YouTube channel today, and he had the same exact content. But of course, when you say the same message, you're going to change it up just slightly, maybe the order of things, or you're just going to elaborate just a slight bit. He had like 10 videos, and I watched every single one of them. Why? And it was useful. Why? Because the mind learns through repetition. He was giving me new information that I didn't know, and I wanted to keep watching all of his videos so I could try to digest it. And then by the third one, I was taking notes. So keep in mind that you have people that what you're talking about might be a new concept. So let's start from the beginning again. You're getting email contacts. If it's business cards, if it's emails, if it's social media, and you are organizing that into at least minimum a spreadsheet. Now, you might have a freebie that you create and you're creating new contacts so that you can email them. Email marketing is more successful than social media marketing. Social media marketing is what is creating the awareness. It's creating the opportunity to get into the DMs to invite people to calls or to get in the DMs to invite them to a link. But most people nowadays want to have some type of relationship with the person they're working with in some way. And when we take it from social media into the inbox is where we are more likely to make the sale or make a conversion where they go to a webinar or they go to a workshop or they get on a call or they click on something else. So thinking that social media is where it all happens is an illusion. So I teach social media. Social media is super important for your business because if they don't know you exist, you can never get into their DM or get into their DMs or get into their email inbox. Email is where it is at. And we need to keep those warm. Like I have some emails where I don't read all of their emails. And I don't want to unsubscribe from them either because sometimes there's some really good ones. So be at least that person. All right. So I'd love to hear your questions. Um, I was thinking this today, which is why I posted. I was like, man, I've got a couple people that I'm talking to about contracts, and I really need to make sure that I get them all into my list so that I don't lose this email because emails get buried. And when I want to go search or email them in the future to say, hey, just making sure that you remember me. If you have any contracts coming up in these topics, like please consider me because those are super useful. So, for even those of us on LinkedIn and searching for jobs or contracts or whatever that might be, those contacts with recruiters and potential jobs, those are also important. They can also be on your newsletter, and you can have a newsletter even if you're not an entrepreneur or business owner. Even if you're like, hey, I'm a change manager and I want to make sure people really recognize and associate me with change management. So I want to create a LinkedIn newsletter and get them to subscribe to my email list so that I can send an email once a month or once a week on change management tips so that they associate me with change management. So when the next change management job becomes available, they consider me. This is branding, this is making association, and email is important. Every person that I've ever ran into that is skimping on email is always missing out on opportunities. So do not forget about your email. You should be spending more time focusing on your email than making sure that you've posted 3 times a day on social media. Okay, so the social media is to get their email and make sure that you have them in their inbox or in the DMs and creating relationships and conversation. We are not what we call it drop and run, post and dash, where we just go into a group or we go on Facebook and we just post something and we expect people to click on our link and buy. Those days are gone. It doesn't happen very often. Normally it makes some warming up that needs to happen and creating a following before something like that will happen. Also to keep in mind that if you're selling something low ticket, that you need a larger audience. So like Kristen has 60,000 emails. If they are warm leads, that would be amazing. You could totally offer a low ticket, like a here, how to take care of your own plants mini course for $7, that would be worth it. But if we only have 100 emails, then we need to be selling higher ticket, or we need to have some more automated services that are coming about. If you have questions or you want more information, put your questions in the comments. I can always come live and explain these things further. A little bit about me, if you don't know, like I work in the corporate world doing learning and development, project management, change management, communications advisory, and yes, communications. So, and then in the small business world or solopreneur or family business world, I work to help with the digital marketing, to help optimize your business, to look at your entire strategy to make sure that you're not missing some gaps, and how can you optimize in little things. Like sometimes it is helping them go from a spreadsheet into a CRM, and how are we going to manage those customer relationships. Um, Other things that I do are public speaking. So I'm more than happy to come to a lunch and learn or do a digital lunch and learn to help motivate your team on how do we create this marketing funnel and build relationships with our customers. And marketing isn't just external, it's also internal. So that's where that change management and communications advisory comes in play. I'm Izzy Nally. It's great to be with you. Please drop your questions. It helps me create content. So it's always helpful. I am here to help and support you in growing your business, whether you're starting a business or taking it to the next level, whether you personally feel stuck, because so I am also a hypnotherapist, and a life before in coaching and nutrition and fitness, and that was my previous life, which I still do a little bit. But I am here from the business therapy of the business owner to the business itself, because I do say the business takes on its own problems just like a human. All right, I'll see you later.